The Prime Minister is saying what's taken you so long to sack him, given he's clearly wanted your job or thought about going to reform for some time. He's saying that it makes you look weak. What would you say to the Prime Minister?
I think that is laughable. The weakest person in our country right now is Keir Starmer. He's standing there shaking at Prime Minister's questions, worried about what West Streeting is doing, what Ed Miliband is doing, what Angelarayner is doing. As I said to him yesterday, he doesn't need to worry about me. I'm all right. He needs to worry about himself.
Right, so picture this. You wake up on a Thursday morning, check your phone and discover that British politics has decided to cosplay as a reality TV show again. Kemi Badenoch has just sacked Robert Jenrick. Hours later, literally hours, Jenrick rocks up at a Reform UK press conference like he's been planning his dramatic exit since before breakfast. And the absolute kicker? Nearly a third of Britons think this whole circus has actually made Kemi stronger. I mean, you couldn't write this stuff. Actually, scratch that, you could, but Netflix would reject it for being too unrealistic. Welcome back to Brit Article, where British politics is messier than your nan's handbag and twice as entertaining. Before we dive into this absolute carnival of chaos, smash that subscribe button and hit the notifications bell, because if you think this story's wild, mate, you haven't seen anything yet. So, let's set the scene properly, shall we? January 2025. The Conservatives are already in the political equivalent of intensive care after their election shellacking. Kemi Badenoch is leading a party that most people trust about as far as they can throw Parliament. And Robert Jenrick, he's her shadow Justice Secretary, former leadership rival, and, as it turns out, about to become the political equivalent of a double agent in a spy thriller. Now, Thursday morning arrives. Kemi gets presented with what she calls clear, irrefutable evidence that Jenrick is planning to defect. Not just defect quietly, mind you. We're talking a carefully choreographed betrayal designed to inflict maximum damage. There's apparently a draft defection speech and everything. It's like finding your mate's resignation letter to your group chat already typed up in their notes app. The audacity! So, what does Kemi do? She fires him, immediately, no hesitation, just straight up, cheers Robert, there's the door, don't let it hit you on the way out. And honestly, power move, because here's the thing, if you're going to get stabbed in the back in politics, you might as well grab the knife first and at least control the narrative. But here's where it gets properly bonkers. That very same afternoon, literally hours after being sacked, Robert Jenrick appears at a Reform UK press conference, standing next to Nigel Farage, who, by the way, is grinning like he's just won the lottery, found a tenner in his coat pocket, and discovered his local does half-price pints all in one day. Farage actually thanks Kemi Badenoch for the late Christmas present and talks about realigning the centre-right of British politics. The sheer cheek of it. It's like breaking up with someone and then thanking them for making you available. Absolute cinema. And Jenrick, he's going full scorched earth. Britain is broken, he declares. Fair enough, mate, we've all seen the potholes. But then he says the Tory party is too broken to change, which is rich coming from someone who was literally in the shadow cabinet that morning. That's like a chef declaring the restaurant's food is terrible while still wearing the apron. The audacity. Now, you'd think this would be an absolute disaster for Kemi, right? Wrong, sort of. Maybe. It's complicated. Enter the bombshell GB News poll that's got Westminster absolutely buzzing. Merlin Strategy surveyed 1,000 adults between January 15th and 16th, basically right after this whole drama unfolded, and the results are absolutely fascinating. 30% of Britons reckon Kemi's decision to sack Jenrick before he could defect has made her stronger, not weaker, stronger. Let that sink in for a moment. In a political climate where Conservative leaders usually have the shelf life of milk left out in the summer, nearly a third of the country is looking at this chaos and thinking, you know what, fair play to her. But, and there's always a but in British politics, the exact same proportion, another 30%, think it's made her weaker, and 40% are sitting on the fence harder than a cat that can't decide if it wants to be indoors or outdoors. They're just there like, honestly, we're not sure what to make of any of this anymore. And the political commentariat, they're having an absolute field day. Michael Gove, yes, that Michael Gove, the man who survived more cabinet reshuffles than most people have had hot dinners, reckons Kemi firing Jenrick in that way will have sent a message to the country of strength. Coming from Gove, that's practically a ringing endorsement. This is a bloke who knows a thing or two about political survival. He's basically the cockroach of Westminster, and I mean that with the utmost respect. But here's the really spicy bit. The poll also found that Nigel Farage has actually come out of this whole debacle looking stronger than Kemi by a margin of 38% to 31%, which, let's be honest, isn't exactly shocking. Farage has just gained a high-profile defector, made the Tories look fractured, and positioned Reform UK as the real opposition to Labour. He's playing chess while everyone else is still trying to remember how the horsey moves. And it's not just Jenrick, is it? Oh no, because earlier in the week, Nazim Zahawi, former Chancellor, remember him, also jumped ship to Reform. 2 high-profile Tory defections in the same week. It's like watching rats leave a sinking ship, except the rats are former cabinet ministers and the ship is the Conservative Party's electoral prospects. And Farage, being Farage, has teased that a high-profile Labour defector will be unveiled next Tuesday. Next Tuesday! The man's out here treating politics like a Marvel movie franchise, building suspense for the next instalment. Coming soon to a parliament near you, the defector strikes back. Meanwhile, Reform UK is consistently polling ahead of both the Tories and Labour. Let me repeat that because it still sounds mental. Reform UK, the party that was basically Nigel Farage shouting at the EU a few years ago, is now leading in polls. Farage is apparently the bookies' favourite to be the UK's next Prime Minister. We've officially entered the bizarre timeline, folks.
So, what are the Tories doing about this absolute shambles? Well, according to sources, and GB News revealed this last month, Kemi Badenoch is attempting what they're calling an ambitious political comeback through a tough love strategy, which is political speak for we're going to be brutally honest about how badly we screwed up and hope you forgive us. She's planning to roll out new policies throughout the year, including possible tax breaks for businesses, because nothing says we've learned our lesson quite like tax cuts, apparently. It's like the political equivalent of buying flowers after forgetting your anniversary. Nick Timothy, who's replaced Jenrick as Shadow Justice Secretary in what must be the worst promotion timing ever, went on GB News Breakfast and basically threw himself on his sword. "We let the country down," he admitted. "People understandably didn't want to hear from us," which is possibly the most honest thing a Conservative MP has said in years. Give the man a medal for self-awareness. He's talking about showing contrition and earning the right to be heard again, which is admirable, sure, but also feels a bit like apologizing for burning dinner while the kitchen is still on fire. Meanwhile, Jenrick is out here writing exclusive articles trying to justify his defection. In his piece for GB News, Jenrick goes absolutely off. Britain is broken. Drink. The Tory party is too broken to change. Drink again. If you made this into a drinking game, you'd need your stomach pumped. He claims the Conservatives are so compromised they can't oppose Labour's madness, which raises the obvious question, mate, you were literally part of the shadow cabinet until this morning. Did you only just notice? Was there a memo you missed? Then he pivots to his new political crush, saying Nigel Farage has stood consistently for all the right things. It's giving major, my new boyfriend is so much better than my ex energy. We've all seen this before. Give it 6 months and see if they're still finishing each other's sentences. And his closing pitch to GB News readers? If you're not already on board, join the movement. Very culty, very we have cookies and vague promises of political revolution. But can we talk about the elephant in the room? There was a mole, an actual Tory mole, who provided evidence to Conservative headquarters, including that draft defection speech, proving Jenrick was planning to jump ship. Someone in Jenrick's orbit was basically deep-throating him to Kemi's team. Who was it? We don't know. Will we ever know? Probably not. But somewhere in Westminster there's someone who's feeling very smug or very nervous right now. Maybe both. They've essentially ended Jenrick's Conservative career and potentially saved Kemi's leadership, all with one well-timed leak. It's like a political thriller, except it's real life and the stakes are who gets to argue about bin collection schedules in Parliament. So, there you have it. Robert Jenrick gets sacked, defects to reform within hours, and somehow nearly a third of Britons think Kemi Badenoch looks stronger for it. The Conservatives are hemorrhaging MPs faster than a leaky tap. Nigel Farage is collecting defectors like Pokemon cards, and British politics continues to be the absolute wildest show on television that isn't actually on television. Will Kemi's tough love strategy work? Will reform actually win the next election? Will we ever find out who the Tory mole was? Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. But one thing's for certain, we're living through the most chaotic era of British politics in decades, and it's only getting started. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one where we'll probably be discussing which cabinet minister has defected to the monster raving loony party. At this rate, anything's possible.